Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Good morning or afternoon. How's everyone doing? I'm Bill, and we're watching Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, and this is the Sunday Hangout. Don't have a lot of show today. We're just going to have a lot of discussion today. Things kind of got off the rails yesterday here at my house, and we had a pretty good show last night. Let me bring in Joneser so that we can all get started today. I have some things I really want to talk about, so let's bring Joneser on in.
What's up, everybody? It's Joneser, your favorite comic book guy. So let's do this! What's up, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, man?
No, same old.
Let's hit the chat real quick and see what everybody's doing. We got Shaitan's Hammer came in real early, about 9:30, and said he's currently obsessing about the 2012 Masters of the Universe DC Comics series. I kind of encouraged him to talk about that in the chat today if he's still around.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I have the entire collection on a graphic novel and a few issues here or there. Yeah,
I'd like to talk about that during today's discussion. And of course, Michael Purvis comes in and says hi to everybody. He says he ended up falling asleep early last night and had to rewatch the stream. Of course, I asked him if he enjoyed it, and of course, he says he always enjoys our show, so that's a good thing.
That's good to hear.
And Bjorn came in with his Schmebulocks, and figuratively speaking, says he's at work, so he'll be kind of in and out. You know, he works at a retail. Yeah, well, he's kind of, I think, the assistant man, ASMR or whatever you call him.
The boss, then don't fire yourself.
No. And Bjorn wants to know how we're all doing. Well, I'm doing pretty well, considering, so I'm fine. Of course, Rolando Flores is here. And Manic Plastic says that he is making his own website right now.
That is cool.
Yeah,
that'll help his business.
It will. And Bjorn said he's doing all right, and figuratively speaking says he's good at work. That's good. And Boba Hicks is here. Hey, Boba, what's going on, man? Of course, he rewatched last night's show this morning, and he filled the comment up with comments, which everyone should be doing, by the way. That helps the algorithm. We have to feed that thing, you know. Susudio is here, and so is Brick Something. Good to see you. And I want to shout out, oh, hey, there's Radical Mom, too. I want to shout out Susudio, who has become the first member of the channel. Channel memberships are now open. Also, you can send super stickers and super chats as well, and we will always highlight those super chats. They're a good thing. They help us keep the show rolling here, as always, and I'm sure that Nightbot will come along with a link here pretty soon. But You can still send tips through Streamlab. I appreciate all of that. And of course, the Patreon is available if you want to join Patreon instead of being a channel member. As far as Patreon and Streamlab goes, I get more of that money than YouTube gives me from memberships and super chats, but it's all appreciative. And we appreciate all of that. And I also want to shout out Ocean Breeze Salty. I don't think she's going to be here today. She probably has to go to work. She works in a kitchen at a restaurant. But OBS was my first super chatter last night. So shout outs to all of you girls. You girls are showing everybody up, supporting the channel. And let's see, Brick something that says, hey, figuratively speaking, you working hard over there? I'm editing like a monster right now.
Working on something new for us to see on
Yeah,
this
I
channel.
swear. Give us a hint there, Brick. We want to know. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier, Shaitan's Hammer is obsessing over these comics. Can you give me a little overview of what I'm sure you've read them all.
I've read the entire series. It's a little bit of a different take on Masters of the Universe. At first, I'd say the first few issues, they really have the classic style artwork, where everything looked, and then they, like most things, they started getting into their own places. They made some crazy story decisions as the run went on that a lot of fans found controversial. It was not unlike Kevin Smith's show where it went into some wild directions. But I mean, it continued the story. So if you don't mind spoilers, the first issue starts off with Prince Adam without any memory, really. Him and his father live in a hut in a village. The king is delusional and he's asking for the royal china and whatnot. And he's not king anymore. He's in a hut and he thinks it's crazy talk. And what it turns out had happened is that there's an event that had happened. Skeletor had won, and he had given everybody, all the Masters of the Universe, the heroes, amnesia, and they all have different lives somewhere else. So Adam has been completely separated from the Power Sword. Skeletor is in Castle Grayskull. He owns it. Sorceress is his slave, and he's basically won, and that's where we're starting from. And eventually the Zoar shows up and sends Adam on the hero's journey, which you do actually get a bit of a hero's journey in these first 6 issues. And he goes on and his memory's starting to come back to him, and he runs into Tila and he runs into Beastman and Trapjaw and Merman, and each of them have see the thing is here, there's no secret. Like they know Adam is He-Man, I guess through the result of them defeating him. Right. So they know to keep him from the Power Sword. So he has to overcome the villains as Adam and trying to remember who he is. And it all culminates in him eventually, wielding the sword. And as soon as he does, he invokes the power and everybody's memory comes back. And then they have to, retake Grayskull from Skeletor. But in the meantime, Skeletor has killed the sorceress. He broke her neck, killed her, dead. Done.
Ooh, wow.
So she's just done. And He-Man is now killing people as well. Like he's done holding back. He's gonna do what needs to be done. And then the entire first 6 issues or whatever ends with He-Man basically punching Skeletor's jaw right off his face and throwing him into the abyss of Grayskull, and what we think murders him. But it of course later sets him up for a return in later issues. But I mean, yeah, the thing went into some crazy directions that were bold, where they angered me at first, but on a second read I enjoyed it more. It was a wild story. And
would you say that it's kind of like the old what if stories or the old imaginary stories from back in the days?
Sure. No, I kind of take a lot of the stuff that I don't like, like that. You know what I mean? Like I kind of took Kevin Smith's show like that, whereas this is a what if. This is his version of what happens over there in Kevin Smith land, and this is 2012 DC Comics land, what they did with it.
Mhm.
I will say that they did set up one of the best crossovers I'd ever seen in Masters of the Universe, where eventually Skeletor, when he reemerges with his missing jaw, he reemerges on Earth with the DC heroes.
Oh,
And he fights the Justice League, and he actually defeats the entire Justice League with a wave of his hand. He basically just walks in and says, "Oh, this is nice. Not a one of you has any resistance to magic," and just whoosh, they're all done. And Batman escapes, but like he's got Superman, Flash, Lantern, everybody under his power, and they're all his little minions now.
wow.
I mean, just like that. And yeah, Shaitan's hammer is right. Despera originated in this. What Despera is she is an alternate version of She-Ra, where she wore a Hordak helmet, and she was really dark. Like she was murdering folks, and they had her fight He-Man in a little more convincingly than they did in that old Secret of the Sword cartoon. And the Horde comes to Eternia and basically takes over. They take over the palace. They kick Randor and everybody out. They all have to seek refuge in Castle Grayskull, and the Horde has conquered Eternia.
Wow.
So yeah, like I said, the story went into some crazy places. But
the question I have to ask is all of these terrible defeats are happening, and all of this misery is being heaped upon our heroes over and over and over again. Do we see light at the end of the tunnel? Do we ever finally come to the conclusion to this?
It does end with a pretty little bow on it by the end. If you don't mind the spoiler, it actually ends with Adam and Teela getting married. Okay. And He-Man's in the pits of Grayskull forging a new power sword. And the very last panel of it is He-Man handing the sword to you, the audience, and saying, "Now you have the power."
Oh, okay. Nice.
And so you're the new whatever.
Okay.
But they had some wild stuff. Like Hordak was amped up. He was like a godlike being in this. So he was not the bumbling Hordak we're all used to from the Filmation series. He was like a supreme being who sucked up souls and was like a living vampire,
Well, now, who was the writer and artist and stuff on this?
There were quite a few of them. I want to say I liked the original team better because they were more, with the look of it, was more like the vintage stuff. And then later it started getting into some wild places. And then by the end, there was a big push to put it back to looking like what we all think it should. And then it ended.
Well, was it the same writer throughout the whole thing? Did he have a vision in mind, or was it like old comic books where every time the writing team changed, the whole storyline seemed to go in a different
I think this was a bit like the second one. I think the original guy was going somewhere with it. He didn't get to finish it. Someone else took it over in the midpoint or 2/3 point and wrapped it up. Because I do believe the artists and the writers changed by the time they got to what they called the Eternity War, which was basically the war between He-Man, Hordak, and Skeletor. And it was all a fight for Castle Grayskull. And one of the things that was fun, like the sorceress, she turned into Zor, right? So Zor was the spiritual guardian of Castle Grayskull. Well, it all depended on who had control of Grayskull, of what that mythical animal would be. So like when Hordak had it, it was like a bat creature, and when the Snake Men had it, it was like the green goddess. Teela became the green goddess and had the headdress and all that. Another thing that was weird is the Snake Men, with the exception of King Hiss, joined He-Man, and they were good guys by the end.
Really?
That was a real different take on that. Another thing that was
face turn there.
Yeah, another thing that was kind of fun is King Hiss, how his powers used to work is he was like a snake man who's was in disguise as a human. Well, in this, it was different. He possessed your body. So like it was revealed that King Randor was actually King Hiss, and that Randor was dead, and King Hiss was living in Randor's skin. And then he revealed to He-Man as he's dying, "You will never know how long I masqueraded as your father." And it was real dark, And then later, King Hiss actually takes over Adam, and then Adam's wearing the King Hiss armor, and he's possessed.
Wow.
And but because of the powers of Grayskull and whatnot, he's actually got the ability to fight off the possession and live. But I mean, like I said, the story went in some wild places.
Well, the story always did go some wild places. One of the stupidest wild places I could remember was with the new Adventures of He-Man cartoon, where they went. It was He-Man in space.
Right. And I think for that, they wanted to actually be masters of the universe. So they went into the universe to try to make that title make sense.
Oh,
which, of course, every old school fan hates change and doesn't want to accept it. And there may be a cult following of that. There's some people who liked it, but for the most part,
people
most
who
of
like
us,
it. A case in point is the fact that they're making figures from that series.
Right. But I think people like us start to develop a twitch and just that's not He-Man.
Yeah. Well, the original figure line that came out from that was significantly smaller than what we considered as He-Man figures, and not nearly as muscular.
No, we wanted him
I
to
like
be.
Salt joined us saying hello to Studio. Hey, I like Salt. Glad you could come and join us today. Didn't see you last night. I figured maybe that you had imbibed a bit too much, maybe perhaps. I know I like Salt likes his drink.
Speaking of drink.
Yep, it's coffee for us old men.
Yes, sir. I might put some sugar and creamer in it, but that's about it.
And of course, Shaitan's Hammer says New Adventures of He-Man could have been better. Well, sure, it could have. It could have gone in a totally different direction than that.
Right.
I think that they were trying to maybe get a different audience into that.
Well, I think they were trying to give him a fresh coat of paint, update him for a newer generation, and it just didn't grab them. You turned off the old fans and you didn't get any new ones, and then you just kind of ended up with what you ended up with.
Well, I'll give you an example of something that I know happened. When the 2000X series came out and the 2000X figures were on the shelf, they were good figures. The show wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
The problem was at the time, I guess the popular culture had moved on. I mean, we weren't watching bodybuilding contests, and we weren't watching shirtless men running around beating each other's ass, and we weren't watching sword and sandal flicks and stuff like that. And the younger generation was like, why is everybody in their underwear? Why don't they have any clothes on?
Well, I think there are two problems with the 2002 relaunch. One, and most importantly, the figures were a pain in the ass to find in the store. And I mean, that's where you got the older guys like you and me. I think at the time when that came out, I was in my 20s. And so it was a resurgence of He-Man to me. I was like, hey, I remember these. And I liked seeing them in GameStop or Walmart or whatever. And so I picked them up whenever I saw one. The problem is the only thing I ever saw was He-Man, Skeletor, and his different outfits. Well, I never could find anyone else. It was just a pain in the butt to collect that line.
And of course, towards the end, they didn't even finish the line out, so they just made statues or stack figures of what was left. I was a little older than you when that started. I tried to watch the series when it came out on television, but they kept moving it around where I couldn't.
Yeah, Shaitan's Hammer brings that point up, and that was going to be my next point when I said there are two problems. The other problem was you could never find the dang show. It did win an Emmy.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was I
liked it. I just could never find it on TV to watch. That's what pissed me off.
They kept changing the time slot.
Yeah, and the other thing was at the time, God, I guess I was getting close to my late 20s, early 30s at the time. I wasn't collecting toys at all. I was buying toys for a young daughter.
Right.
And so as much as I enjoyed seeing those figures sitting on the shelf, they weren't something that was in my price range to buy at that time. So I wasn't really collecting them, but I was like, and it wasn't that long afterwards that they did the anniversary figures that were like re-releases of the original line of a few of those. I wished I had gotten my hands on some of those, but I didn't do that.
Yeah,
either.
the commemorative version, which was if you had a Toys R Us handy, those were usually pretty easy to find there.
Yeah, well, see, Toys R Us was about 75 miles away from me, and that was a day trip, and we didn't get to go up there very often. New Adventures feels like Cold War propaganda, like Scorpion's Wind of Change, but that's a topic for another day. Brick, I'm going to have to get you on the show because some of the things that you say are so thought-provoking. Appreciated 2000X attempt to weave together the origins of Skeletor in a coherent way. We got the
and even the origin of He-Man. You never got a coherent He-Man version besides Adam walking up at the beginning of every episode saying, "Hi, I'm Adam, Prince of Eternia," and that was your whole origin story. At least in 2000X, they did an attempt at a Skeletor and He-Man origin that had never really been done before on screen.
Saw a couple episodes, says Bjorn. And then they did the same thing with the Thundercats. Now, I did not see the Thundercats reboot. Did you see that?
I saw a few episodes of it, and it did have a lot of the same issues that the He-Man one did. I thought it was well done, and the animation style worked for it, but it was just hard to find the thing on TV, and you couldn't find the action figures anywhere. It was the same. It's like they didn't learn.
Well, or they really did. It sounds like
they don't care.
Yeah, I mean that bothers me because a lot of times why are you going to release something if you're just going to leave money on the table?
It makes no sense to me. Even in today's current climate with origins and whatnot, it's like I've talked to some of the people at Walmart back when I cared enough to try to do that, and they were like, "Well, this doesn't sell," and I said, "Well, that doesn't make sense because every time I come here, it's gone. So what do you mean it doesn't sell? You never have any." You know, and then they're like, "Well, when we do have them, they just stay here forever." And I'm like, "Well, that's because you always have the same ones. You don't have any different ones. You don't have any variety." And the guy was like they don't look at it the way that a collector looks at it. They look at it as inventory. Well, we have Masters of the Universe inventory. Oh, Masters of the Universe inventory isn't selling. Oh, well, don't order anymore. They don't even look and see it's all the same.
When they put a SKU out there on the shelf, it has to sell so many units per week or per month. I don't know how it depends on the store, I suppose, how that works, or per day, per units. So whatever they're sticking on the shelf, they don't really understand what it is or care. It's the thing is that stuff's got to move, and if it's not moving, then why are we ordering this? The fact that they're putting Naked Stratos out there on the shelf along with Buzz Off and Jitsu, and we're all bought that already, and we're not buying no more of that, doesn't enter into the equation. Shit ain't selling, so why are we buying the next wave? So that's why you don't see the next wave on the damn shelf.
Well, then here's the other thing then. You'd think Mattel would want, if they have these big production runs and they have this stuff sitting in warehouses, which I don't think they do.
Well, they can't.
But if they did, then you should be able to buy directly from them. They should have every figure on their website.
I think it's moving in that direction.
That's
the later waves, the way they look, especially the back of the packaging, with full art all up and down the package, lack of cross sales, lack of all that little legalese writing that takes up half of the packaging, leads me to believe that it's moving toward an online market. Now, is that Big Bad Toy Store Entertainment Earth and Amazon included? I think it is, but I also think that Mattel is going to start eliminating the middleman in a lot of that. Ergo Mattel Creations, perhaps. So,
well, and I don't think that these things, obviously they don't care what I think, but I don't think these things should be exclusives. They are made to orders, but they should be readily available on their website. Or if there's a Mattel store near you, have you checked that? Or
I don't have a Mattel store near me. They're all mostly up north.
I do have one within, I think it's 100 miles from me. And I've heard that if you go straight to the Mattel store, they're pretty well stocked.
Yeah, and well, that's another thing that has been mentioned by other people around in the business is
Right.
that that's where a lot of stock goes when they can't get it out to retailers. It goes to
Right.
their outlet stores like that, and that makes sense. Bjorn says he watched the entire 2011 reboot. Now, what is that? Is he
He's probably
talking
talking Thundercats.
about Thundercats? Okay. Cartoon Network moved the time, split the season. Well, the same thing with that Kevin Smith thing. That season was split for some odd reason too. And I think if that had been marketed properly without a lie being told, it might have done a lot better than what it did.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Now, Gilster says, "How about Origins Battle Bones? I thought we would have that by now. Are
It's
you?
been teased in the packaging art.
It has. Were you a big fan of the Battle Bones?
Not particularly. I mean, my mother liked it because you can pick up your toys and put them all in this thing, and they look how nice it stores, and you can put all the weapons in here. I think that was a release for the mothers because it didn't really have a lot of play to it. I mean,
The idea was silly to me, but and the idea of calling it a carrying case was weird too, in my opinion. However, it has its fans, and if you like it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, absolutely. No, I would buy one, even though I think the thing's silly, I would still get one.
Lots of things are attempting to go online only. Well, the market for that stuff is getting older and shrinking, and that's just an ism there. I think kids' toys are not adult toys. Case in point, go to Walmart or even the dollar store. The dollar store is the perfect place to go to see this in action. Go to the dollar store and go down the dollar store toy aisle. There are action figures there.
Sure.
While collectors are not buying them, they have limited articulation and they have a lot of play value for children, but not
beat them together.
Yeah.
Lyric likes a lot of those kind of toys.
That is called boinky boink play. And I know people have questioned me on calling it that because a certain other person on the internet calls it that. Well, the thing is, he was in the industry. The reason he calls it that is because that's what they do call it over there.
Right.
All of that play, hair play is what girls do with Barbie dolls.
Barbies or the sheer
hair and then fix
My Little Ponies.
Yeah, My Little Ponies and all that kind of stuff has real hair, so the girls can do the hair play, and girls do like to do the hair play.
Right.
Matter of fact, if you want a case in point, go over to Clownfish TV and listen to Geeky Sparkles.
Geeky Sparkles, yeah. I've been on.
She will go smooth off about a girl toy that doesn't have the hair play value.
I've heard
to
it. Yeah, I'm subscribed. I'm a fan. I follow him on Twitter.
Yes.
Brick, I'm in Minnesota, but I do believe they have a Mattel store in Wisconsin. I have not made the drive yet, but I believe it's within 100 or 75 miles away from me. I'll have to recheck that out. It was either Wisconsin or the cities in Minneapolis.
Well, Brick, I'm in the free state of Mississippi, which doesn't have anything except lots of flat land and heat and humidity and swamps. I think there's a Mattel store in Florida.
I want to say there's like 7 or 8 of them spread around the country.
We'd have to get Will McLaughlin to come on and tell us a little bit about that. I thought Mattel stores were only here in California, El Segundo and San Bernardino, or Purdue there. So
I believe there's one in LA.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all over California, and I know that they're in the Northeast.
Yes,
I think there's one up in the New York area. But they also had real carrying cases. Yeah, but those weren't made by Mattel. Those were made by Terra Toys.
You got one?
I do.
Oh, yeah. That's the daddy right there.
I've got a bunch of these, and I need more because I'm actually storing my Origin figures in these.
Oh, okay.
And I'll give you guys a secret. When you're looking for these on the eBay, or the Evil Bay as I call it, they go for a premium price. And a lot of times people will pass up on one because they think that there's only one divider in there. go ahead and buy it, because probably that one divider is actually both dividers that have been pressed together by whoever had it, and they don't realize that there's actually two in there. And when you undivide it, flip one of them upside down, and then they sit on top of each other like they're supposed to, instead of nesting together.
Tip from the pros there, folks. Tip from the pro.
And he had no idea that they had real carrying cases. Now you know. They're not listed on their site. No, these carrying cases are vintage by Terra Toys. They did a lot.
I believe he's actually speaking about the Mattel stores.
Oh, okay.
That they don't have them listed on their site.
Yeah, Geeky loves her rooted hair. She does. She does. And she's typical of a Gen X girl. They probably still make the damn thing. They used to make just a Barbie head. It was like a full size head.
I've seen them.
And all you do is sit there and style the damn hair and
put the makeup on it.
Yeah. Dad was from Minnesota. Okay.
Oh, very cool.
Those
he is.
Stores, LA County. Gilster says, I just can't find an original Battle Bones to complete the collection or an extra one to blackwash it. I don't know. I haven't researched that, but I would assume that, like everything else, for a price, you can find it somewhere, especially on the Evil.
Right, but the hard part with the Battle Bones is a lot of times they're broken, or they've got busted pieces, because the thing is,
has Toy Polloi, I should know this, but has Toy Polloi done a video of repairing a Battle Bones?
If he hasn't, he sure should. I'm sure somebody has one.
Well, I would be curious to watch a Toy Polloi video on repairing Battle Bones to see how he incorporates Lego into it. Didn't even know that Mattel had stores. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I didn't know this either. And when I was doing those crazy rounds looking for Origins figures, somebody on Instagram, I wish I could remember who, gave me that hot tip and said, hey, maybe just go straight to the source. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, just go to the Mattel store. I'm sure they got stock.
Yeah.
And
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, I have too. I can't believe I've never made the trip. I think because by then I discovered Big Bad Toy Store and I had stuff on pre-order, and I'd already worked a system out where I didn't have to drive 75, 100 miles anymore.
Well, the other thing is sometimes the stores are called Fisher Price stores.
Yeah.
And even though it's called a Fisher Price store, don't get put off by that. Go on in there. There's more than Fisher Price toys in there. It's a Mattel outlet store. It's just called Fisher Price.
Yeah, they've got Barbie and He-Man and Hot Wheels and everything in there.
Whole aisles of that shit, and shit that you don't see normally in retail because the retailers are not buying it, so they have to get rid of it. They can't keep it in a warehouse. They got to sell it, so it goes to their outlet store.
And we were going to make a family trip to the Mattel store because my son, he's really into the Hot Wheels, or he likes the classic cars, and so I was going to go looking for He-Mans, and he was going to go looking for rare Hot Wheels.
Here's the thing. If you do that, a video must be made and a toy hunt must be put up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If I do that, yeah, I would definitely document it.
And of course, the Joneser needs to come in and find all of his buddies online that might need some shit and find out what they're looking for too. Because that's the shit right there. Going to the Mattel store, you're going to find that shit you've been looking for. And can't find because Nick Estrados has been stinking up the joint.
You know, and I used to do that when these were new. I would take pictures on Instagram or Facebook and show the empty pegs at the Walmart, or when I'd find one, I'd show the one sitting on the pegs. And I would always ask people like, hey, is there anything you need while I'm here? But no one would ever respond back in a timely enough manner for you to.
The thing is, we have to be careful about doing that. We have to do that for people that we sincerely do trust.
Right.
The reason I say that is because I'm going to bring up our friends over at Collector's Crush that we don't ever know what became of, that we can only speculate, that I've heard stories, but nothing is corroborated, that they just quit because life intervened and then the coof was over or whatever. But she mentioned in an interview that she and he had on somebody else's channel that they had been burned by a fan of their show. doing stuff like that for them. So there's that to worry about. I'm sure all of us here, because the community is a little tighter than that. I mean, these kids were dealing with perfect strangers, whereas we're dealing with not so perfect strangers, people that we kind of got a handle on.
No, I actually had the same kind of problem. I got, when they were new, I found Prince Adam and Sky Sled, and I ended up getting 3 of them, one for me and one to keep in box and one for a friend. And the friend didn't want it anymore and bowed out. And so then I went to look at the eBay and see what they were going for there. I figured I might as well make a buck, but then, you know, just to ship it into all the trouble that it was worth, I ended up taking it right back to the Walmart and just returning it and getting my money back. And, you know, and what was funny is I told the lady at the return thing, I was like, you know, these are a hot item. I bet if you put that on the shelf, it'll be gone in a minute. And they didn't care.
No, they don't care. They do not care, especially the employees there. The employees there are so abused that they don't care. And I kind of feel bad for them, but it is frustrating when you're going in there trying to get some help, and the people in there are so downtrodden that they rank you right up there with their bosses.
Right. I also did the same, I think, with the flocked panther. I found them in Iowa, and I bought 2 or 3 of them, and got mine, one for Lyric, and I ended up doing a drawing on my channel for one, and guess who won the damn thing?
Who?
Adam over in Canada. It taught me freaking like $60 to freaking send him.
Yeah, well, I encountered that too. He likes his lady action figures, and I get it. And so he saw a toy hunt video I did when Lady J and the Baroness came out, and he was like, "Oh, I really wish I could find those here. They're nowhere to be found." And so I thought, hey, I'm gonna surprise Adam. He's a good friend of mine. I'll get those figures and just send them to him. Shit, I did.
Yeah,
the figures were like $20 a piece, so you're talking like $40, right? And then it was like another $58 to send it to him. Ouch.
Right. I think that's about where I ended up. The Panther was $40, and it was like $40 to ship it. And I was like 80 into this thing, and I was like, "Geez, okay, I hope he likes it." But you know,
speaking of Panthers, I bought that flocked Panther when it first came out, and it was hard to find.
Right,
there were like 1, maybe 2 on the shelf. And
this was that time when they were like impossible.
And then all of a sudden they were stinking up the joint like naked Stratos.
Yes. Yeah, did they ever bring the price down on that? Because $40 was pretty high for that.
It was around January. I'm gonna say it was in January. I bought one for a good friend of ours, and they had it on sale for like $19.99. They finally put it on clearance. Bjorn says, a bit off topic, did the Atomic Man basically have robot arms? If he's who I'm thinking of, sort of. They were clear and you could see stuff inside of them. You know what I'm talking about there, Jones?
I don't know if I do. The Atomic Man?
Yeah, Mike Powers, was that his name? I can't remember, but yeah, he was like a G.I. Joe type 12-inch figure. And sort of, you remember Bullet Man, who had the vac metal arms? Well,
yeah, or even the $6 million man, or
yeah, but Mike Powers, the Atomic Man, I think that's who it was. Tell me if I'm wrong. Gochitron, if you're around, I know you know, but I think he had clear arms, clear plastic arms, and you could see like the stuff inside of his arms, the robotic shit inside of his arms. They still make that Barbie hair play thing that I was talking about.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Brick Something's talking about the Terra toy cases. Now, what I was going to mention was it wasn't just He-Man cases. They did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They did Real Ghostbusters. They did Batman, the movie Batman for Michael Keaton. They did
Superpowers.
They even did Superpowers. That's correct. Terra Toys. And I think they're still around, but I don't know what they make now.
Right. I had the Turtle one and the He-Man one when I was a kid. I wish I still had them.
Right. And quick look, and Toy Poloy doesn't seem to have a Battle Bones video. Thank you, Bjorn. Barbie is probably going to get a bump soon with a new movie. Yeah, somebody was talking about the new Barbie movie the other day. I think it was my daughter said she's wanting to go see the Barbie movie.
It looks kind of funny. I bet it'll be a little wild.
I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of in jokes in that.
Sure.
I was teasing her and I said, well, Ken looks a little,
Yeah.
And she said, well, Ken always was. And I said,
Yeah.
what? I mean, this is from a girl who played with the toys,
Right.
guys. Anyway,
Yeah, she ain't wrong.
We'll elaborate on that, please, my child. And she said, well, look, Dad, when I was growing up, I had the Barbies and the Kens, but I also, Grandma had given me 2 G.I. Joe 12-inch figures that came out at that time, and one of them was a cop and the other one was a soldier. And Ken was gay, so he wasn't even in the picture, but she was married to the soldier, and when the soldier would go off to war, she would cheat on him with the cop. And I said, where did you were like, what, 8 years old? Where did you get this shit from?
Jerry Springer show.
No, watching Days of Our Lives.
Oh,
with
yeah, that makes
grandma,
sense.
fucking soap
sense.
operas.
Well, she knew how it works.
A few years ago, I remember seeing a Fisher Price outlet store in a mall not far from Dayton, Ohio, says the studio. The Peddler's Post, is that a site where you can buy stuff?
I'm not sure.
I never ask anybody to pick me up anything unless it's definitively a case that I can't source one over here. But
where is over here?
I think he's in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of which, yes, I watched all those hilarious damn old videos that you sent me this morning. One of them, this is in Ireland now, mind you, from like the 1940s or 50s. They had a class, and they brought all these Irish farmers in that were in their 20s and 30s to teach them how to go on a date with a woman. And the lady was up there at the front. She says, we must bathe our bodies and we must shave our faces before we go on a date. Like these sons of bitches didn't know. And well, yeah. And then the other one that I watched was there was a news story about a pub in Ireland that had a daycare center put in there so that the kids could be put in the daycare center while mom and dad went and got toasted over in the pub. Only in Ireland, people.
I remember my parents doing that on bowling night. They had a little daycare in the bowling alley, and they'd stick me and my sister in there, and they'd go get blasted and bowl.
Here we go. That Mike Powers, the Atomic Man, I was correct on that one. Daniel Carhoonan is here. He's our world traveler. How's it going, sir? Been looking at your videos and pictures on the Instagram and seeing all the wonderful things that you see on your travel. So it's y'all subscribe to Daniel Carhoonan if you can and get a little culture. Mike Powers' right arm was transparent, says Gojitron. Thank you, sir. Good to see you, Goji. Glad you could join us today. Margot Robbie.
She's going to be Barbie.
Oh, okay.
She was Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
If you see the trailer,
I thought she did okay as Harley Quinn.
It wasn't bad. Yeah. If you see the Barbie trailer, when they show her foot come out of the shoe and it's bent like the Barbie's foot and it doesn't go back to normal, I'm like, this is going to be great. If the movie's going to be tongue in cheek like that,
I think the tongue is going to be firmly in cheek in this thing, and the little kids will like it, and the adults will too. That's right. What the purpose of that is.
Well, it looks to me like it's a love letter to the fans of this franchise.
And you have to understand now. The way to make money at this is to have something that not only appeals to the kids, but has enough humor that goes over their heads that will appeal to the adults that are forced to take them to the theater and have to sit through it.
Right. Well, and I mean, when I saw that in the trailer, I laughed and I went, if that's the direction they're going with this movie, it actually might be pretty good.
Now, here's something interesting from Gojitron. There was another figure called JJ Arms. Now, I vaguely remember that name, who did have robot attachments for his arms. And see, it's nice to have someone like Gojatron who knows all this stuff.
Right.
I've got to
An
get
expert.
you. Yeah, we got to get you back on the show again sometime soon, Carl. Get with me, man. DM me. You know how to do it. He puts the lotion on his body.
Or else it gets the hose again.
And Bowie Hicks is he likes some Margot Robbie there. And
she's popular.
Thank you, Bjorn. I appreciate that. So everybody can follow that link and check out Daniel Carhoonen. Recently I did a poll, just to get a little bit off topic here. Let me run over here and pull up my channel right quick, which is I want to go over to the poll that I did because I wanted to kind of talk about this as well, real quick while we were doing this. Has anyone seen The Secret Invasion? If so, did you like it? And I had several options for people to pick from here. The first option was saw it and loved it, only 10%. Saw it, it was okay, 20%. Saw it and hated it, 0%. I was surprised at that. And then I said, I haven't seen it yet, 50%, which means that those people will watch it. They just haven't had a chance to yet. That's my thinking anyway.
This the latest Marvel movie or something?
Yeah, it's a Marvel TV series on Disney Plus that has Samuel L. Jackson in it, playing
Nick Fury,
old, decrepit-looking fat Nick Fury with a beard and all that. I said, and the last one at 20% was I didn't see it and don't plan to. So I watched it. The opening sequence was AI generated and looked like pure crap. The series itself is a spy thriller. It will appeal to some people, but the Cape crowd it may not appeal to. It's a little cooker. It's kind of slow. I want to watch it and see where it goes. My wife enjoyed it. She's really into it.
Well, that's cool. I still haven't watched Werewolf by Night. Like I was excited.
You need to watch Werewolf by Night.
Good?
Yes.
I got to watch that.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night was a Halloween special, and it starts out looking like an old 70s Halloween special, too.
I got to check that out because I was a fan of the comic, you know.
And Radical Toys says he really wants to see Secret Invasion. And Ted Melik came in and said he found it mostly boring. He said they blew things up and people were chased, but he didn't really care about any of it. And Samuel L. Jackson is getting too old. Well, I think they're going somewhere with that. And the other thing is, what I really wanted to get to is the fact that my wife liked it. Now that's important because my wife is not a superhero fan. She watches the shit because I watch it. Some of it she likes, most of it boring to her, and it doesn't appeal.
That's pretty much the Jones house too.
Yeah. Now the fact that this particular thing did, keeping in mind that she loves to watch Bones and Law and Order and all that procedural drama shit. Yep. This was right up her alley because that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Set in the Marvel universe. But there's scrolls in it, and the scrolls are all replaced people. That was a comic, people. So yeah, it's a thing. So now,
see, the Disney Plus Marvel shows are kind of hit and miss for me. Like I liked Moon Knight. I watched the first couple episodes of She-Hulk, and then I just kind of bowed out.
She-Hulk was bad. Okay, She-Hulk was extremely bad.
I think it had some moments. It was almost
like it was bad on purpose.
Well, I think it had some moments in the first couple episodes, but it just didn't grab my attention enough for me to continue it.
In my mind, I see the people sitting in the writer's room throwing darts at a blackboard, and one of them's going, "Hey, what'll piss the fans off? Let's do this."
Yeah, I don't know. Like there were some, like I said, I don't want to defend it because I ultimately didn't finish watching it, so there was a reason. But there were some moments where I was like, okay, she's breaking the fourth wall, which they did a lot in the comic. I could see a lot of what they were trying to do, but I don't know.
Well, I'll spoil it for you because you don't seem to care.
No.
Basically, they took it to the ultimate end that was horrible, and then they said, "Okay, that really didn't happen. This is what happened."
Oh, you're kidding? They did like a swerve?
Yeah. And it was a stupid way they did it too. It's like, okay, she goes to Disney and she goes to the writer's room and she berates them for writing a terrible show, and she makes them rewrite the ending so that it didn't end like that.
Well, I guess the comic did that stuff too. Like if you read the She-Hulk comics, like she'd be like, "Hey, you remember that present they gave me in issue number 8?" Like, she was talking to her friend in the show or the comic. So
Deadpool used to do shit like that too.
But I want to say She-Hulk did it first.
Shaitan's Hammer says Mattel, despite its many flaws, is more fan friendly than Hasbro. I'll agree with that one.
I'll agree with that too.
And Daniel Carhoon thanking Bjorn for plugging his channel there. Instagram page. The Barbie film looks in the tradition of the Lego movie, Lego Batman, Super Mario Brothers, films based on toys and games that are self-aware and really knows its source material and is going to try to elevate it.
I think he's got a point.
He does. And Brick says he loved The Secret Invasion. Gojitron, this is important too, folks, like The Secret Invasion. Hopefully it doesn't go south in subsequent episodes. I agree with you there. I could see that it could go to a bad place, but I also see that it could further things a little bit as far as the Marvel Universe and the way things fit together. Now, I do know that there's probably going to be a reset in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
There almost has to be at this point.
Want to see the Oppenheimer movie more than the Barbie movie. Nick Fury is maybe not Nick Fury anymore.
There are scrolls about.
Yeah, there are scrolls about, and that is a possibility. What I'm thinking is that Nick Fury, Nick Fury is the Nick Fury that we know, okay, is a super planner who has moves within moves and thinks about 50 moves ahead of anybody and has contingency plans for his contingency plans. And I have a feeling that he's doing things on purpose to cause other things to happen. So stay tuned. And Brick says, yes, you have to watch that, Johnson.
The Werewolf by Night.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I know I do. That's been on my to-do list for a while.
And hopefully you haven't been spoiled by anyone.
I have not. No one's told me anything.
I think the only time I mentioned The Secret Invasion was when I was talking to Grindhead Jim last year on this channel. And I did mention that there was a certain character that shows up in there that just warmed my heart. Werewolf by Night is Disney Plus's best production so far. I agree with that. He's not wrong about that, folks.
That's good to hear.
Hey, John, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us today. And Brick Summit says, I'll defend it.
I think he's talking She-Hulk.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Because that's what I was saying. I'm not trying to defend it.
All right.
And that's when that comment popped up.
Okay. Daniel Corrinan says that he will recommend Werewolf by Night. Warmade Cardboard says, I have yet to watch any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows. I've been afraid I would be disappointed. Well,
some of them were pretty good.
It goes with anything, movies, TV, anything. Yeah, you roll the dice, and sometimes you crap out, and sometimes you don't. But I will tell you how to do it. Go in there expecting the worst possible shit you can possibly think of. Go in there expecting it to suck assholes.
Right.
And then even if it barely doesn't, then hey,
you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, not so bad. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Even back in the day, Hasbro toys always had issues with detail and being cheaply made. However, Mattel toys seem to be made better and had better detail as well as playability. She might have a point there, but when I think of Hasbro, I get really nostalgic for the resurgence of G.I. Joe when the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe figures came out with all of those weapons and toys and play
Oh, the
sets.
vehicles and play sets. Yeah, they really hit their stride there.
It was an amazing time, and I was probably 11 or 12 years old at that time. And when I got that comic book, that Larry Hama first issue G.I. Joe comic book, that's what sent me out looking for those figures. And there was some commercials on TV that kind of perked my interest as well. Ultimately, Bill, Ree, She-Hulk, etc. Think about your wife and the others who don't watch MCU stuff. The MCU stuff, like Marvel Comics, appeals to a broad audience. There's no monolithic The fans. See, that's what I'm talking about. I've got to get Brick on the show sometime and get him to talk about this kind of stuff because it's all thought-provoking, and he's right about that.
Well, he is, because a lot of times, especially I'm guilty of this, is like I feel like I'm a gatekeeper of some of these intellectual properties, and it's like, well, you can't enjoy that, you're enjoying it wrong. Like I'm some guy that knows everything. Like, you know, if someone else liked it and I didn't, and who am I to say they can't like it? You know,
well, I mean? Well, we have to remember that, you know, as well.
It's not just for me; it's for everybody,
right?
You know?
And Gojitron says, as a fan of really obscure characters, I will give She-Hulk points for introducing Man Bull and El Giha, but the rest was bad. Okay. So, having a variety of storytelling types, genres, approaches, etc., feels 100% appropriate to me for the cinematic version of Marvel Comics that I grew up with. And I'll give him his props on that. And I also say that one of the things that the cinematic universe tried to do is it tried, at least initially, to take the best parts of the Ultimates and the best parts of the 616 universe and kind of combine them together into one thing.
Well, sure. And I would especially say the early Marvel movie stuff, they really seemed to have a plan and a direction, and everything was tied together.
They did. The first two did, yeah.
Somewhere around where we are now, we started just kind of cluster effing everything together. It doesn't feel as planned. I don't
think they really thought out what they were going to do after Endgame, because Endgame pretty much was the end, was it not?
I don't think they thought out what they were going to do past Infinity War. You know, quite honestly, because I think Endgame was kind of a mess with how it ended.
Well, it was a two-parter, and of course the blip happened and all of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing is, how do you follow that up? I mean, that thing made like tons of money, and by that point, of course, you get the superhero cape movie Burnout that's going to happen. Yeah. We know it's coming. Come on, guys.
Well, we're already feeling it. We're there.
Well, you know, there was a time when every time you went to the movie theater, the only thing in there were cowboy movies, right? Is it like that anymore? No.
Yeah.
There was a time when every time you went to the movie theater, it was spaceships zooming around in space. And that kind of went away too. And then the superheroes came along, and it's been superhero movies for how long? 2 decades now?
Well, here's the thing to put it in perspective, Bill, because you can remember the dark times when we would never get a superhero movie, or you would be lucky to get.
Or if you did, it was a Roger Corman schlock.
Yeah, you'd get some, you know, made for television Nick Fury that's David Hasselhoff, or you'd get you know, straight to home video Captain America, and you know, like they were
playing the spirit. Oh my God.
Yeah. So we sat through some stinkers. I think it's fair to say that. And did you ever think at the time when you were sitting through those stinkers that there would ever be a snowball's chance in hell that you would get a movie that had Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Spider-Man, freaking Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody all together in it?
The idea of a crossover like that was unfathomable.
Right. Right. So we do kind of feel like we're complaining about nothing. I mean, this has exceeded any expectation I had as a child. You know, that we even get these movies. We got an Ant-Man movie. I never thought we'd see an Ant-Man movie, let alone 3 of them.
Well, Brick's up a pretty good point when he's talking back to Gojitron here. He says, yes, there was some whack stuff in the MCU, but that's exactly how he also feels about the Marvel Universe as a whole. Yeah, there's some whack stuff in there.
Yeah. It wasn't the only show that had some things that, you know, people didn't enjoy.
Yeah, he's talking about the She-Hulk. And here's the thing: you will be disappointed by something. I've been reading Marvel comics since 1983, and I've been disappointed many times. Oh, I
Yeah,
bet.
me too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you read. You could be the biggest Superman fan in the world, and you get the wrong writer or the wrong artist on that,
Right.
and the title suffers, and you can't stand it, and you quit reading it, and then they fire all those folks and hire new folks. And go ahead.
There's an issue. I was reading the Wolverine run from the late 80s, early 90s, and there's an issue where I really enjoyed the artwork. The story was going in a neat place. And then there's one issue that's just weird. I think they were in between artists, and they had they must have been a work for hire guy that
fill in writer or artist. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like Wolverine's mask, he has the white, he had the eyeballs in it, and it just looked off. And the whole art in this issue was just off. Everything looked wrong. And I was just like, oh my God. But then right after that, I think that's when I don't know if it was Larry Hama or somebody good came in right after that and really saved it.
Right. We were talking about that earlier when we were talking about something else, but I mentioned, one of the things that used to really, really piss me off back when I was a kid was when we would have a storyline going in a comic, and you're wanting that storyline to go somewhere. You can kind of see where the writer's going with this. The art's superb. You love the art and everything, and then all of a sudden, those guys move on to somewhere else or get fired or whatever, and they bring in a whole new team in there. And sometimes they wouldn't even wrap up the damn storyline. They would just immediately start something new. Yeah. Or if they did wrap it up, it would be so pat that it would piss you off. It's like, why didn't you go ahead and do this to begin with if you're going to go there with it,
Right.
And that happened a lot because of the nature of the damn beast.
Right. Well, I mean, it's basically a chain story. So the person who starts the chain isn't always the person who gets the middle, and isn't always the person who gets the end.
That's true, and there's always the what if. What if they had continued the story? Where would it have gone? And of course,
well, like Stan Lee had said, he would have never killed Gwen Stacy if he was still writing Spider-Man. He would have never done it because the character was based off of his wife.
Right, but
so he could have. Where
would the story have gone had he not? So there's another point there. Had he stayed on that story, it might have stagnated at that point and not have moved to the place where it's.
And I do think from reading a lot of those back issues that Spider-Man needed a shakeup then. I don't know if killing Gwen was the way to go, but that they did need a shakeup and they got it.
Well, we talked about that too. How long can an evergreen character stay evergreen? I mean, we talked about that. They start out and they have 2 or 3 decades of movement where the storyline is constantly evolving and going somewhere, and then at a certain point, the collective consciousness of the public at large has this idea of what the character is, and suddenly the title will stagnate for a number of decades. Because we have to keep the status quo to keep the people reading, but we can't change anything because if we do, we'll lose readership. And then at some point or another, a whole group of new people come in and say, "Look, this has been stagnant for so long. We've got to really shake things up." And then at that point, they do, and then everybody gets pissed off at it. And sometimes it goes in the right direction, and sometimes it don't, a la New 52. And how long can an evergreen character be evergreen before it becomes a period piece? These are things to think about.
Right. Well, and for me, and I know we talked about this in private once, but for me, He-Man could just stay there in the Filmation lore where he just, I'm Adam, and then it's the flavor of the week, and Skeletor gets defeated, and we go right back to the beginning again. Superman could just stay there in the Daily Planet, run into the phone booth, coming out off to save the day. Oh, well, Lois doesn't get hit by the train.
Unfortunately, it becomes a 70s, 80s period piece, maybe a late 60s, 70s period piece at that point, because When was the last time you saw a functional phone booth on a city street?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
There's one in my town, but it doesn't have the door.
Right. Or just a Hulk standing there, a piece of junk.
Right. Just got like a little hood over it.
Appealing to a wider audience and fans does not have to be mutually exclusive. If their writers were better, they could do both. Well, that's another thing. Bad writing is always going to be bad writing, no matter what it is. We have to.
You can't put lipstick on a pig.
No. I still absolutely love the Marvel Universe, despite the many times it's been whack. I've just learned to wait for the next thing that comes along. Well, that's true. We've been doing that for years. Like, reading comics, I know that there's that. And let the other stuff be enjoyed by other folks, which they are. Yeah, they are. Anything's got fans.
Correct.
Anything. Back in the day, most of the Hasbro toys were games. They were games.
Board games.
Yeah. John says we need to. So I need to watch Disney Plus Marvel in the way that I watched the Godzilla '98 Gino, but I was let down with that. Look, we were all let down by Godzilla in name only. It was a rotten picture, but what if it had been named The Beast from 40,000 Fathoms instead of Godzilla? Would you have liked it better then?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It wasn't a Godzilla movie. It was The Beast from 40,000 Fathoms is what I mainly use Disney Plus to watch old 80s and 90s cartoons. Silver Surfer. Anybody watch that? It's there. Watch it. That's worth watching, folks.
90s X-Men.
Yes, I'm very behind in modern MCU stuff, says Boba.
Same.
There was a time it was zombies, talking about movies. Yeah, there were zombie movies everywhere, out the ass.
Yeah.
Some of those I like to watch too.
Same. Anyone
have high hopes for Kraven the Hunter? No, not really. I've seen the trailer for it. It's awful. Still waiting for a new Masters of the Universe movie. Yeah, me too. You'll wait.
Wait forever.
Development hell. Sony's attempts to make Marvel-based material is a whole other thing. But hey, they did give us a Spider-Verse, Broken Clocks, and all that. Not wrapping up the Hobgoblin storyline in Spider-Man like 10 years later and swerving that all out the ass.
I think it went where it was originally intended. I think they intended for Robert Kingsley to be the Hobgoblin. Because if you remember in the 80s, or they had all the swerves who the Hobgoblin's real identity was. You know, it was revealed at one point it was Ned Leeds, and then it was Flash Thompson, and it was some other guy got shot, and it turned out this was all this mad plan, the Hobgoblin to remain anonymous and blame all these other people. And in the 90s, they paid that off. Yeah, like 10 years later, in 98, they finally did the Hobgoblin payoff story.
Well, see, I was into reading a little Spider-Man back when Hobgoblin was introduced and was around.
Right.
I remember some of that, but I never remembered the payoff because I wasn't reading it at the time.
They really they pinned it on Ned Leeds and walked away from it, and then they revealed later that it wasn't Ned Leeds.
Sounds to me like the original writer went away and somebody else wrote it for a little while, and then he finally came back. Am I right?
But I do remember in the original story there were a suspect list, and Robert Kingsley was one of the big suspects in it, and it was neat that he was paid off later, and then 10 years later they finally, because that was who I suspected it was when I was younger, and so that was neat to me.
I need to have some DC fans come on this show, and me and Jones grill them about what happened with the New 52 into Rebirth era. We talked about that too. I mean, the whole thing is just mind-boggling to me. Superman is terrible. Let's kill him completely off, and let's bring Superman from the previous comic back into this universe and make him the Superman. But now suddenly he always had. Appealing to a wider audience, you're right, but it's also very difficult to crack great stories and craft great films. True. Susudio, thank you so much for that $1.49 super chat. We appreciate you, sweetie. Thank you so much. And Brick Something says, I mean, DC and WB have tons of money to hire great writers, and yet they've struggled. Well, for all of its problems, the Arrowverse is a good example of what started out kind of slow, became something really, really good, and then went straight to the dump heap.
I'll agree with that.
I like the Flash in its middle sequence, not the end and not the beginning. And the fact that they didn't even acknowledge him at all in the recent Flash movie is kind of disappointing, let's just say.
Yeah, it made no sense to me.
Repeatedly, and I'm not meaning to hate on DC, but just pointing out that Marvel deserves a ton of credit for a pretty damn good track record, despite the stuff that they may not be personally into. And he's correct on that one.
More hit than miss.
Yeah, it used to be the opposite. It used to
Whereas
be
DC's been more miss than hit. Marvel cinematically has been more hit than miss.
Yeah, there was a time when DC had the better movies and the crappy cartoons, and Marvel had the better cartoons and the crappy movies, and then all of a sudden it flipped. Yeah,
DC's got some great animation.
Great point on Godzilla 98, Bill. It was a fun monster flick, but it was definitely not a Gojira movie, and that's correct. He was not Godzilla. He was the thing from 40,000 Fathoms, and I'm going to stay there. That's where my mind sits. And Godzilla did come along and kill Gino. If you want to watch that, then I think it was SOS Tokyo. That's where you get to see that happen. Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers are good examples of updates of IPs that were essentially out of the public eye, but they kept the core values there. I also think Star Wars needs something. Of course,
it needs a rest.
The grain of salt rumors that not inverted penis, but Doomcock has been telling us is that George Lucas is going to buy it back from Disney for pennies on the dollar.
I doubt it.
I don't
Disney
know.
ain't letting that go anytime soon. They're going to milk that cow until there's not a drop left in it.
Right. Between movies, network TV, and streaming, I honestly don't think there are enough talented writers to keep up with the amount of content the studios are demanding.
He's probably right.
Well, then again, you have to remember there's also a lot of meddling going on.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of agenda promoting and politicking, and they're not.
One of the
ways
really
trying to write the best story for the character. They're trying to pursue other things.
Well, one of the things that they do nowadays that I do not agree with is instead of having a writer make a story that has a beginning and a middle and an end, they have these things must occur in the movie. So we've got this list of things that we have to have happen. Then we have this list of things that we could have happen. And they scrapbook the damn thing, and they just sit there and throw darts at shit on the wall, and everybody in there is sitting there putting their finger in the pie. And too many cooks does spoil the broth. Thank you.
It does.
All right, here we go. Can I pause the conversation to once again admire Motu Jones's store light display behind him? Man, I wish my Target looked like that.
I wish mine did too. I wish everybody's Targets looked like that.
Lord. Well,
I need to get a second one of those things because I probably got enough Masterverse figures to fill up a second one now.
Now, tell me I'm wrong. I thought Ultraman was back at some point or another, but not necessarily an American version.
It was on Netflix. They had an updated Ultraman on Netflix. I didn't watch much of it, just saw that it was on there
at all, but I know it was there. I knew my consciousness.
Ultraman.
It will be interesting to see what Hollywood does look like post-writer. Well, I think that a lot of what's going on with this writer strike is also a good reason to get rid of some things and to make some things over again and to reboot some stuff and I don't know, fire some people. Did I just get a $5 super chat?
I think you did, Rick something.
This is for putting up with spamming the chat. No, you're not spamming the
You're
chat.
not
This is what,
spamming nothing. We enjoy your
no,
comments.
this is what today's show's all about, brother. But
Yeah.
thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I appreciate
No,
that.
I love hearing his perspective. He always,
Me too. Like I said, I gotta get him back
different
on.
angle, but it's nice to hear somebody not repeat what you're saying and have an opinion of their own, or you know what I mean. I always like his perspective. He looks at it in a different
like I
way.
said, everything he says is thought provoking. That's the thing about it.
Correct.
It makes you think. Oh, wait a minute. Let me rethink my thought on that and see where he's coming from on that. And that's what I like. You've seen the current Netflix that brings something telling her the same thing we were talking about. Right. And then here's that super sticker that she sent me. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can see what it doesn't show me what the super sticker is here. I'd have to go, I guess, over here maybe.
I want to say it didn't have one.
Well, it was a super
$1.49 super sticker, but I don't see a sticker.
Yeah, I'm over here in the live chat. It's in the studio to see if I can see what that super sticker was, but it's not showing me there either.
Boba Hicks here. He's talking about that hobgoblin.
Here we go.
You found
it?
Here
we go. Here we go. Here's the super sticker. It's a little salt shaker is what it looks like. Okay. So the super sticker was a little salt shaker. Cool. I'm new to this, folks. I just got monetized, by the way. Channel memberships are open. You can join the channel. There are 3 tiers that you can do. You can become a weirdo, or you can be one of the fantastic ones, or you can be an adventurer. Each one has their own perks. Boba Hicks actually enjoyed the payoff of Hobgoblin Lives that was released in 97, 98.
Yeah, no, I did too. I have all 3 issues, and yeah, that I loved that story.
Hated the Superman Wonder Woman. Yeah, that was not supposed to be. It never should have been.
Superman's supposed to be with Lois Lane. End of story.
Yeah. But you know, John Byrne did that one time, and I love the way it was. So Superman and Wonder Woman are up there above the clouds, and then suddenly Superman grabs Wonder Woman and gives her a big old kiss on the lips, and you kind of see Wonder Woman's eyes doing this right here. You know, like what? You know, Superman and Wonder Woman are more like brother sister. You can't romance them, Jay. Don't have Netflix and don't want to get it because I pay enough for cable.
That's fair.
That is not wrong. I feel you there. I need to get rid of some of that junk too. I've been threatening to for now, a year and a half. Arrowverse was good in the beginning, though. I hated the stupid island.
I loved the island. That was my favorite part. In fact, a lot of times I didn't care much about what was going on. I just wanted to get back to that island.
Will the new Phantom movie work today or as a TV series?
I think it would. I think it would have to be a period piece.
If you want to use the Phantom that's been the Phantom from whenever it came about, that is a period piece, in my opinion. Now, we all know that Phantom can move on because his ancestors can become Phantoms, and what we can do with that. Now, can we ruin it? Yes, it's already been done, Sci-Fi Channel. Can we do it right? There was a cartoon series that did, I think.
You know, and that one leads to a lot of possibilities because the Phantom can almost never get stagnant because, hey, you have them in the 1800s. Oh, wait, we're getting bored of that. Let's put them into the year 3000. Oh, hold on. That's getting boring. Let's take them to a cartoon
series or a TV series. Why not go I'm going to call it the Doctor Who method, whereas depending upon what story you want to tell, you can tell a story. And they did this in the strip as well. Lee Falk did this all the time. Let's tell a story about the 18th century Phantom and the story that he told. And the way you do that is the Phantom goes into his library and gets the Phantom Chronicles out, and he flips through it and he reads a story about what his ancestors did. And then move into that story. And then,
you know, and even a good writer could like tie it into an artifact, you know, like, oh, one of his ancestors found this artifact and now some villain has come up with it and he's got to reclaim it. You know, I think that was the plot of the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
and actually the plot of the movie really had a lot to do with that, and it actually told a story from the strip.
Right.
Those stories were from the strip. He had to go in and find his dad's guns and holster or whatever that the crook had stolen. You had the girls who flew the airplanes and all that stuff in there. That was straight out of the strip as well. You had the pirates. What were they called? The Shang Can pirate.
I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen that.
All out of the strip. And once again, he had a story he wanted to tell. Now, did it work? I thought it did, but it didn't appeal to everyone.
No.
Do you agree with this? None have done Ra's al Ghul right.
Does he mean live action? Because I would have to say the Batman the Animated Series was pretty spot on.
That's what I was going to say as well. Is it pronounced Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul?
I think that depends on how you pronounced it as a kid. It's the same thing with the X-Men and the Macran crystal or the Mcron crystal. What is it?
I got you. So it's either or either.
Right. I think it just depends on how you grew up saying it. Is there a right or a wrong? I don't know. Ask the guy who made the word up.
Oh, a case in point. Prince Namor is the what?
Submariner or submariner.
There we go. Thank you. That's what I called him when I was growing up, was a submariner.
Tomato, potato, potato.
All right. We'll be listening in. I have to assemble 2 pieces of furniture. Oh, I gotta be the man there and put this stuff together.
Gotta keep the wife happy.
There's that super chat from Brick Something. Thank you so very much for the super chat. Just kidding. I just want to contribute. Yeah, well,
we appreciate you, sir.
You're contributing very much so, and I appreciate it. I wish I had you on here live so I could pick your brain.
Yeah, we should have him on sometime. We message him on Instagram.
Spam. Good conversation, Brick Something. Yes, it very definitely is. And Melvor, you've been lurking, haven't you, sir? It's good to see you there, the Melvor. There's an actor strike looming in days that could nuke the current system. Nuke it! Start all over again.
Right. You know what? Quite honestly, I'm a fan of the unknown actors doing roles. That's how we found people like Christopher Reeve, or Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I go with an unknown.
And Gojitron says, on Tubi, you can watch all kinds of Japanese Ultraman for free. And yeah, I got the Tubi over here too, and I really need to go through that because there's some good stuff on there, and it's all free. I do think you have to sit through the commercials, but didn't we always?
You do have to sit through the ads, and they come at the weird times. They might come like mid-sentence in a line. That's
the only thing I don't like, and that happens here on YouTube as well. Is the placement of the commercials is not placed. Used to back in the day when we watched TV in the 70s, the commercials were placed. They knew where the commercials were going to go, so they actually made the episode so that it would give you a cliffhanger and you would get a resolution after the commercial and that kind of stuff.
Well, and I hated that like pro wrestling was really bad at that too. You'd be like right in the middle of the match. They'll be like, we'll be back here in WCW. And you'd be like, oh man, like what happened in the commercial break? And you find out, the good guy started losing.
Something happened and like the good guy was winning, then suddenly you come back and the bad guys got him on the road.
Got him. Yep. I guess they figured they didn't want to see him get beat.
Take care, brother. We'll see you later, man. Glad you could stop by and visit today. Fun fact, Gojitron met Billy Zane, and he was very cool, and I loved his Phantom movie. I heard that Billy Zane is very approachable. I have heard that. Yes, live action.
That's what I figured he meant. For the Ra's al Ghul.
And Gilster sends me $1.99 through Super Chat. I think that's a super sticker, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if that's a super sticker. No, it's just $1.99 Super Chat with nothing.
There's a donation.
But I appreciate that, Gilster. Thank you so very much for giving me a Super Chat. And Bubba Hicks says he loves a good strike. Let's get our sign out, unfair. All right. Well, let's see where we're at. We're at the hour and a half mark, and we're just having a wonderful discussion about movies. We went from toys to movies here suddenly. So, is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing that you haven't seen yet, Jones?
Movie wise,
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe.
All right. So, when's that coming out?
I mean, I seen, I guess, the one when I was a kid, but I mean, I would like to, I guess, you know what? Maybe I want to see it and then maybe I don't. Because quite honestly, I almost feel like I've become one of those toxic fans because it seems like everything they attempt, I just hate on it rather than enjoy it.
Well, let me stir the pot a little bit about the term toxicity in reference to fans. Are there toxic fans? Certainly there are. There's toxic people all over the world. But here's the thing. If I go to a movie and I watch it and I do not enjoy it and I express my lack of enjoyment of that movie, does that make me a toxic fan?
I don't think so.
Well, according to
that's a label that
you are.
Yeah, it is. You can't not like something, like especially if someone else liked it, you'll get attacked for it. In fact, when Masters of the Universe Revelation came out, I had to be quiet about it because every time I even criticized the show in any way, I got just lynched by people. You know?
And that's still going on today.
Right.
As far as Masters of the Universe Revelation goes, I've always said this: the art was spectacular on it. I love the art.
The music, the score was great.
The story could have been better than what it was. I did not appreciate the characterizations of some of the characters, a la King Landor. Tila overreacting to finding out that Adam was He-Man. I don't think she would have reacted that way.
No, I feel like Tila had a lot of out of character moments.
Exactly, but the main thing that hurt that movie was Kevin Smith himself. Had Kevin Smith kept his fat lip shut, I don't think that it would have caused as much backlash among certain sectors of the fandom, me included. I did not.
And he got caught. Like a lot of people were talking about the part that made a lot of fans mad, including myself, was the bait and switch, was the promotional materials and the trailer and everything made you look to think that this was the show you were getting. And then when you got the show that you were getting, all that stuff that was in the promotional materials was in the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and you never saw it again. And it absolutely was a bait and switch. I'm not even going to argue with anybody about that, because to me, if you're going to try to tell me it wasn't a bait and switch, I got to wonder how intelligent you are and what a bait and switch actually is. That was absolutely, and he got called on it. And instead of just keeping his mouth shut would have been the best thing he could have done. But instead he doubled down. That's not what we're doing here. That's absolutely what they did. Because then why wasn't Tila and her little the new haircut part of the promotional materials? Why wasn't the the other direction that the show went in the promotional materials? Why didn't they advertise what they were doing if they're so proud of it? They were hiding what they were doing. Because they knew.
There were a couple of things that got my crawl on that. The first being, all right, so our friends over at Clownfish TV broke the news to us, and then Kevin Smith told us all, they're liars. That's not true.
And they were right.
And they were right, and he was lying.
Yep.
Then Kevin Smith told us that he was an Uber fan, and that at the age of 30 years old, he would rush home from school to watch He-Man.
Yeah, that was all lies too.
And the line, the bait and switch, that's what really upset me. Had they been more forthright about that, and Kevin Smith had been reined in and told to shut your goddamn mouth, it might have done a little better than what it did, and it might not have pissed people off to the point that it did. Because people get to the point they have enough.
Well, and don't you feel like he came out and was bragging about it? Like, I killed He-Man and I killed Skeletor in the first episode. Like, he was so proud of that. Like,
they were almost gleefully giggling about
irritating.
We made everybody love the most hated character, Orko, and then we killed him.
Orko was not the most hated character. I'd hate to say that.
not.
You know, most of the fans really enjoyed him, and he was endearing. You know, I mean, yes, there were some fans that like Snarf and Orko and a lot of those characters where there were people that didn't enjoy it. But when he went out and said like, we interviewed the fans and it wasn't even close. Like everybody hated Orko. It's like I wonder who you interviewed.
Who you
talked to.
Well, that's a case of we already know where we want this to go, so we're going to pick and choose.
Correct.
Please give our thoughts and prayers to Lax Sivrak. Gilster, give me a DM over there on Instagram. Let me know what you're talking about, please, sir. But yes, our thoughts and prayers are going to be with Lack. I don't know what's going on there, but that's concerning to me. Nothing like a poorly written and poorly produced film that does not make you toxic. That's a buzzword used to shield bad product criticism. It is. Absolutely is. I'm a Marvel fan. I thought She-Hulk was poorly written. That does not make me toxic or a misogynist. It just means I didn't like that particular show, and that's correct. Right. And Boba Hicks says, I like Orko.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
T-Law wouldn't have acted like that, and Randor wouldn't have acted like that. And I agree with you, Mel. That was one of the things that really did strike me as odd on that was the characterizations of characters that we've known for years and years and years that were just off-putting.
Right. Yeah, no, I remember my cousin, right, when the Randor part came on, and he was like, whoa. Like, okay, the guy was a little bit tough in the old show, but this is like, wow. Like,
well, you know, the thing about Randor was he never realized at all that his son was He-Man.
Right.
Whereas Marlena knew all along.
We're suspecting.
Mom knows her son.
Right.
But Randor was like, why can't you be more like He-Man, Adam? Why are you always doing all this goofy stuff and always being late and not taking your responsibility serious? One day you have to sit on this throne and take my place. You have to come and be step up to the plate. And that's the way he always has been. But it's never been like that, you know, like was presented on that show. And thanks, Gilster. I'm looking forward to you upgrading me about that, and I'll have to get in touch with Lack personally as well. Wasn't Revelations originally marketed as yes, it was, and it was not
spiritual successor because there was copyrighted material they couldn't touch. There were things
they couldn't use any of the old music. They couldn't use the certain sequences in the way it was used on that because of the copyrights.
I will always look at that show as kind of like what it could have been, because when you saw that original trailer, I mean, because I had my doubts. The clownfish story had already broke. You know, there was some shots of some of the look of some of the characters and what they were going to do, and so I had my antennas up. But then when I saw that trailer with the old, we need a hero, and I mean, that was a good trailer. I mean, that got me like, maybe this will be good.
That was done on purpose.
It was. It got my hopes high. I watched the thing in its entirety, you know, or at least part one of it. And like when the thing started and they had the music, they showed like the old artwork and they had the little voice, you know, the He-Man, and I was like, I was in. Like you had me. And then as the show started to develop and you got to the battle at Grayskull, Skeletor, and I was like, here it is. This is everything I've ever dreamed about. And then all of a sudden, they're gone. Okay, well, you know, we're going to do something new. Then we get to episode 2. And then that's, I think, where the wheels start falling off the bus pretty hard. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we're getting into even the ending of episode 1 where Randor's reaction and all that. But still, like, and then there's a point in it where I really checked out was when they got Tila in the castle and they're telling her not just the fate of Eternia, but the fate of the entire universe is at stake here. And she still doubles down on, but they lied to me and my hurt feelings are more important. And I'm just going to leave everything to its fate. And I was just like, that is so out of character.
For that trope has been done to death on too many damn shows to the point to where it really pisses me off when I see it. Whenever the character goes, "You lied to me."
Well,
You
here's the
lied
thing:
to
if
me.
the point of making it Tila's show, which they did for 8 episodes, it was Tila's show, and you want to make her a heroic character and somebody that everybody can rally behind and admire. She seemed very whiny and very selfish and just not who I didn't think she was a good role model at all.
Like a petulant 10-year-old. You lied to me, so
Yeah,
now I can't trust anything you ever say again. And never mind why you told me that, or never mind why you were hiding that fact from me. Never mind the fact that you were trying to save me.
I mean, there's even a point where Adam tells her, like, I literally died to protect all of you. Like,
yeah,
she's still mad at him for the lie that I don't know. It just, to me, it was badly written.
Now, Boba Hicks says, back to Boba Hicks says, was a revelation mark to see what's the film show. Well, we covered that, but what I wanted to say was, you want to see what the Filmation show could have been, or a what if it had continued. There's a UK comic strip that came out in newspapers, if I'm not mistaken. That's the direction that you need to go in if you want to see that.
Sure.
That is what that strip was, and that's what it was to be. It was to take up where the Filmation left off and continue that storyline, and it went to some places that the TV show couldn't have gone to, and it did it well. Revelation Al had a bunch of 87 movie references that made me think Kevin Smith only ever watched that. Kevin Smith, he was trying to put Easter eggs in that to appeal to people, I'm sure.
I think that's fair. I also can name you the 3 Filmation episodes that he watched and prepared for that show. He watched The Shaping Staff because it was in there, and that's why Evelyn and Beastman had that enamoring of each other, or at least Beastman did to her, because they were teamed up in that episode. That's where Faker was. So he watched The Shaping Staff. We can tell that because a lot of it's in there. He watched The Rainbow Warrior because he had the bit about Marlena knowing that Adam was He-Man, and I suspect that he also watched Tila's Quest because he knew the origin of Tila's to the sorceress.
Right.
But I think he missed some bits, because one thing on Tila's Quest, it was revealed Man-at-Arms is not her birth father.
No.
He was an adopted father. In fact, he even says, and I believe the quote was, "Your father was one of the bravest men I ever knew. He gave his life so all Eternians could live in peace. I was proud to take you on as my own," which which makes it, I think, more endearing that he was an adopted father, because there's a lot of kids out there, like we go back to Peter Parker and Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Peter Parker didn't have traditional parents. I think there's a lot of kids out there don't have traditional parents or single families or whatnot. So I thought that was a neat thing for them to do, to put that out there like that. And instead it's like, no, they changed it. Either dude up for why, I don't know, or just to tell his story he wanted to tell.
John agrees with me. Corporations have a list of ideas that they throw darts at. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like put blindfold. You have the dartboard up here, and you stick sticky notes on it, and you start throwing darts, and wherever the darts land, that's what we're going to put in the movie. Mark Hamill's Skeletor, I could not hear the Joker. Same. Mark Hamill is great, but he doesn't have a range of other. He does, but he didn't use it there.
No,
that's the point. He does. He could have changed that voice to be something other than Joker, but he just didn't. Why? I don't know. I know Mark's weird these days. He's gone off the deep end in a lot of ways, but as far as being an actor, he's got the chops. He just hasn't. Sure. He just doesn't. He hasn't had the movie to do it in, and probably won't ever. Sorry. Have you guys ever read a Kevin Smith Batman comic book? Yikes! Not good at all. More stupid than anything. I'll talk on that, Jones, because you've read modern more than I have.
I can't speak on a Kevin Smith Batman book, but I can speak on a Kevin Smith Daredevil book. And I did think Kevin Smith was much better on Daredevil than he was in anything else that he did.
Did he not do Green Arrow as well?
Probably. I don't know for sure. You know, and I was a big fan of a lot of Kevin Smith's work, especially his early movies. I loved Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma,
Well,
Chasing Amy.
the View the Askewniverse is something that's like lightning in a bottle.
Right.
All of those movies have to be watched together.
Yes.
They all interact with one another and intertwine.
Yes.
And
No, it's like you said, dude, fat Kevin Smith and thin Kevin Smith are two different people.
they are.
Yeah.
The thin Kevin Smith is a pod person. Most of the ideas would never work on their own as a story, so they reimagine an existing IP to fill their message quota of ideas. Exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, John. Kevin Smith wanted the Joker, and we'll probably get Captain Kirk Hordak.
Yeah, I'm afraid for where they're gonna go with that story. You know, and the sad thing is I know I'm gonna watch it because it's Masters of the Universe, and I just have to, you know. But I am scared to death of where they're going with that. Because I don't think he's learned a dang thing at all. I don't think there's going to be this, like the comics learned. They had this almost like universe resetting event where they put everything in a multiverse and it could all be there, you know. But I think he's not going to learn. He's going to double down on his nonsense, and I think you're just going to get more of the same.
Yeah, and Honor you 83 says that Kevin Smith wanted that Joker. I could see that happening. Could you not? Yeah.
Well, he had Kevin Conroy. He had Kevin Conroy to do Merman, all 3 lines Merman had in the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, and Conroy didn't do his Batman voice. He tried to, you know, you must beware the Merman. You know, I didn't enjoy it. To me, Merman is supposed to sound like that.
Exactly.
That's the Merman to me, you know, but.
Yeah, well, like I said, Kevin Smith, as much as he talks about John Peters interfering in his Superman movie, sounds like he's just as bad.
Yeah, you know, and here's the thing, though. Like, did it ruin my childhood that I didn't enjoy it? No. Am I still a big fan of this? Yes. Am I still going to watch the next one, even though I expect it to be horrible? Yes. I mean, do I care that other people liked it? No. Enjoy it. If you liked it, you liked it. Cool. Good for you. I'm glad somebody did. I hope they make more of them. Whoa.
Ooh, that looked kind of spooky there. You got spook there moving
stuff.
Yeah,
a little lyric man down there messing around with stuff behind me. He bumped the camera there.
Isn't Merman supposed to be underwater? Well, yeah, he's an underwater character, but he comes up out of the water when he wants to fight He-Man or be Skeletor's minion or whatever.
Right.
In my mind, Merman is the leader of an underwater kingdom, a king in and of his own right. He craves He-Man's powers. He wants He-Man's strength garment, and he wants He-Man's battle ram. He wants He-Man's stuff so that he can be as strong as He-Man and take He-Man's place and use that to his better advantage.
Or maybe even be top dog over Skeletor.
That's it. He's using Skeletor to get those things, and he'll so soon as turn on Skeletor as soon as he gets them as anything else in this world. So yeah, that's Merman's motivations. And he talks like this, because that's the way Merman's supposed to talk.
Right. And I can appreciate what Kevin Conroy was trying to do there, you know, just trying to do something different, which that's awesome in itself. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old man and I just wanted things to just be the way I wanted them.
Well, yeah, we get to a certain point in our lives where we get stuck. That's true. Merman's favorite movies are James Pond and RoboCop. That's the thing I love about my chat here is that they're very quick-witted.
Yes,
especially Johnny Sorensen and Boba Hicks. When you get them both in the same room at the same time, you get bombarded on two sides with this kind of crap, and by the time it's over with, your sides are hurting.
Right.
Probably will watch that train wreck too, just cause the art will probably be pretty. And well, look, here's the thing. Jonesor just calls me smooth out just a minute ago. As much as I sit here and bitch about all that shit, am I going to watch the sequel to it? But yes. Will I like it? Probably not. Will I bitch about it too? Probably. But I'm going to watch it.
Well, and we've both said there were redeeming qualities to it. Some of the voice cast was very good. Some of the music to it was very good. The art style, the animation style had its moments. You know, it had some great moments. Like I said, the first 10 minutes of that thing, I was like, you know, when they showed the old Mattel toy artwork and they set up the story and they had that little like
that artwork,
you know, yeah, it's like it worked, you know, and it really showed you what this could have been.
I agree. All right, I live up to my subscription level. I'm a weirdo. It's weird with the OH, if I'm not mistaken, because of my love. I can't get to them right now. The Weirdos model kit line, of which Digger and Huey Hutrod are part of. Have you seen those? When I've had a show on them a while back. The little model kits called Weird O's.
I have not.
Yeah, they came out. They came out in the 60s, and then they were re-released again in the 70s, and then they were re-released again in the 90s and early 2000s. And they're monsters who ride in hot rods and stuff like that. And then there was a group of sports monsters, and then there was a group of silly surfers and all that. And they were all called Weird O's. Merman, as the ruler of Eternia, gives a decree to his subjects. His subjects' response, what did he say? Can you understand him? There are often kernels of good ideas, which makes it frustrating. Yes.
There was a lot right with it, you know. There was a lot right with it. Unfortunately, I think the wrong in it was so much that it, you know, depending on your taste, overshadowed.
I think, especially in my own case, and I think that had the thing not been marketed the way that it was, and the lies that were told, and the doubling down, and the Kevin Smith opening his big mouth, and all that, I think that the show wouldn't have been hurt nearly as bad had none of that happened.
See, I can agree with that, but I'm going to put this in a completely different direction, man. We were talking about shaking things up and changing things. This has been gone for 20 years. It didn't need a shakeup. It's been gone. We missed it. We wanted it back. We wanted it back for what it was. I don't think we needed to get cute with the story. I don't think we needed to do anything. All we needed was a muscle man riding a green tiger, fighting a skeleton wizard over a castle. That is what we needed. We didn't need anything cute. We didn't need anything wild. We didn't need anything crazy to happen. We were ready to see it.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we wanted.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, get back to the origins, if you will, pun intended, of the line.
Right. And the best parts of the show was when they did that. The best parts of the show was when they had the trailer, when they had the opening battle, when they had the flashback sequences. The best parts of the show was when they went back to the status quo. It should have stayed at the status quo and never left it. Because we haven't seen the status quo with the new animation, with the new music, with the new look. We were ready for that, and we didn't get it. And by the time we got it at the end, I think that the bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths was just there and wasn't going away.
It's the same thing with this threatened He-Man movie that's supposed to come out. It needs to be exactly what you said. The just revelation should have been. Will it be? No, probably not. Sorry, folks. It'd probably be more of the awful other He-Man movie that I appreciate, but on a different level.
Right.
Gojitron says, I had Mark's toys called Nutty Mads that looked like weirdos. They were the weirdos. That was Bill Campbell's ideas that were made into small plastic toys that looked like the model kits. So, go ahead and look that one up, Goji. I think I'm correct on that. Those were Digger and all the rest of the of the model kits were made into little plastic pieces that looked like, I guess, about the size of army men, I guess, and they didn't have any deco on them. They were just molded plastic called Nutty Mads. I actually realized that the ending should have involved Point Dread and a reset, which was wasted. You talked about that in your community tab the other day, and we were talking about Point Dread and the fact that it has never been utilized properly outside of the toy medium. That Point Dread exists on a different plane and can move around in time and space. Let's see. My dad has some Marks electric train sets. Marks is a British company, if I'm not mistaken. Marks Toys. Honestly, all it's talking about is giving me an itch to rewatch it.
I actually did watch it a second time with Lyric, and it was better the second time because I wasn't as upset about it as I was the first time.
Hey, Kojatron, the best moment in Revelation. There are no safe positions. There is one behind me.
Well, and seeing that's, like I said, that He-Man doing He-Man stuff. That's what we came here for. It took us too long to get there. Like, we got it in the first episode, and we had to wait all the way through freaking 8 episodes to get it again. You know, instead we got a fake Hulk He-Man, and we got a, dead He-Man, and we got like 40 He-Mans in the afterlife, and like we didn't get what we came for. We came to see He-Man do He-Man stuff.
Well, even if they didn't want to do the Revelation stuff, look, there's comics that were done good. There were the comics that were included in the figures. Even that's a built-in storyboard already for a damn movie. All they got to do is paste those up on the wall and film that. Why not?
I'd watch it.
Me too, in a heartbeat. Nightbot tells you to go look at my blog. Please do. And of course, it is devolved into just repostings of what I do over here. But if you go back far enough, I actually did used to blog back in a few years ago, and some of those articles are worth reading again. I need to start turning them into episodes. So what do you got planned in the future there, Joneser? I know that there's a lot going on over there on Motu Joneser's channel.
I'm working on a live show that I'm going to do on my channel. Now, I've got an idea for it, and I don't know if I'm ready to share it here yet because I'm still working on it. But I'm looking at doing a Friday night show, probably 9 to 11 or 10 to midnight. It's going to be kind of comic book themed, or I've got some ideas. I'm working on it. I'm still trying to practice with some video editing software and just some slideshows and some different things. And so I've got some ideas for it. That's where we're headed. It's been a while since I've recorded and posted a video. It's been like 2 weeks. So I got to get one up sometime soon, maybe even today.
Right.
And it's been busy. I had all those health issues, and then getting back to work, and then just getting everything caught back up in my life. I had the band going with the show, and we had lots of band practice. We band practiced every day for almost 2 weeks after the health stuff. So, yeah, I'm just trying to get back in the grind.
Yeah, and I need to get some videos out too. I've got some ideas of stuff that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, but every time I think I get to a point where I can, something comes along to stop me from it. But that's kind of like life, isn't it?
It is. I think one of the best quotes I ever heard, I believe it was John Lennon, and he said, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
That there's a lot of truth in that. And the older you get, the worse it gets. Sometimes it seems like.
Well, and the older you get, the more responsibilities you have and things you need to take care of that are outside of your choice. When you were a kid, you just run out the door. You didn't bring your wallet, your keys, your phone, nothing. You just ran out the door, and you didn't even know where you were going. You were halfway down the street, no plan. You didn't know when you were coming home. You try to do that now as an adult. You just leave your keys, your wallet, your phone, everything, just run out the door and go somewhere. You ain't even gonna make it half a block down the road. You're gonna be like, I need my phone, I need my keys. What am I doing?
Pretty much, man. Well, I've kind of got to the point where I think we're getting so close to the 2-hour mark that I thought those ducks looked a little hungry.
There's a good stopping point here. I think we've gone over it all.
And once again, big shout out to Sue Studio and all of my super chatters today. And Sue Studio said something at the end of last night that she wasn't in the credits for last night. Darn it, girl! I can't edit something together before while the show's going on. But guess what? You're going to get your wish today. Let's see. People are commenting again. Today's TV and movie writers don't write stories anymore. They're busy ripping off existing stories, movie TVs, old TV series, no imagination. And I agree with that. Thank you, Gilster. Thank you, Boba Hicks. Yep. Slow jam time, break time, guys. See you there, John. Just wait. Watch the credits all the way through Studio. You're on there, girl. And we'll see y'all all next time. And have a good journey in the meantime. And time for the show to end.
Special thanks to the channel supporters. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like, subscribe, and share the video.